Back in August 1944, German High Command threw their ultimate weapon, this near-invincible armored battalion, at Patton's advance, hoping to slam the brakes hard. But it backfired completely. By week's end, fewer than 10 Tigers were still running. The rest got blown apart, abandoned, or captured outright, and Patton's troops didn't even slow down, they just kept rolling. That's the real story, not the legend, how smart tactics and non-stop speed shattered the myth of the unstoppable Tiger tank. Let's clear the fog first. The Tiger wasn't just another tank, it played mind games. Weighing 56 tons, its front armor bounced most Allied shells like pebbles. Its 88mm gun could obliterate a Sherman from distances where the Sherman's own 75mm couldn't scratch the Tiger's paint. For Allied crews, spotting one felt like staring down a moving fortress. German propaganda fanned those flames, selling the Tiger as unstoppable. And in head-on fights, they were right. Stats showed you need like 4 or 5 Shermans to kill one Tiger, usually losing 3 Shermans first. On paper, the math was brutal. Tigers won. Soldiers actually called them invincible. Here's the critical detail most missed though, that Tiger had exploitable flaws, and Patton saw them clearer than anyone. First, it crawled. On roads, it hit maybe 25 miles per hour, and that's in perfect conditions. Off-road, forget it. That slow speed meant Tigers couldn't chase retreating troops or adapt when battle lines shifted. Second, it broke down constantly. That complex transmission and massive engine failed left and right. For every Tiger destroyed in combat, another got ditched because field crews couldn't fix it. Germany's wartime factories just couldn't keep up with repairs. Third, it guzzled gas like crazy, less than 1 mile per gallon. And in summer 1944, Germany faced a brutal fuel shortage. Whole Tiger units sometimes sputtered out miles before reaching the front, stranded like mechanical whales in French fields. But Patton zeroed in on the biggest flaw. Tigers were born to defend, not attack. Their sweet spot was hiding hull down behind hills, picking off targets from long range where their armor and gun ruled. Set up like that, absolutely terrifying, but forced them to move aggressively, to charge or reposition, and their strengths vanished. That slow speed, fragile mechanics, and massive fuel hunger turned fatal. German commanders knew this. Their playbook ordered Tigers to anchor defense lines, not lead offensives. But by August 1944, they were desperate. Patton's Third Army blitzed forward so fast it broke every rule. Towns fell daily. Entire German divisions got bypassed and surrounded. The front line was collapsing. So German High Command made a fateful call: deploy all 72 of their elite Tigers straight into Patton's path. It was a desperate gamble. On paper, it should have bought days. What actually happened became a brutal lesson. Tactics, coordination, and speed can dismantle even the fanciest tech. So how did Patton pull it off? He didn't wing it. He crafted a ruthless 5-part counter-strategy after studying German tank tactics inside out. First rule, never fight Tigers on their terms. They wanted long-range duels where their armor and guns dominated. Patton banned that. Instead, he ordered his commanders to use terrain and smoke to close in fast, or hit Tigers from the flanks or rear where armor was thinner. If you couldn't flank it, bypass it completely, let follow-up troops handle it while the main force kept hammering forward. Second rule, unleash combined arms without mercy. Patton knew Tigers shrugged off tank fire but crumbled under coordinated attacks. He didn't rely on Shermans alone. Artillery batteries sat ready to hammer Tiger positions within minutes. Fighter bombers like P-47 Thunderbolts flew constant close-air missions with armor-piercing rockets. Infantry carried bazookas and anti-tank grenades trained to swarm immobilized Tigers. The goal was chaos. Artillery would pin crews down, forcing hatches shut while fighter bombers shot up their tracks. Then tank destroyers would dart in for the kill shot from the side. Third rule, attack supply lines like your life depends on it, because it did. Patton knew a Tiger without fuel or parts was just scrap metal. He sent recon teams deep behind enemy lines to hunt supply convoys. Fighter bombers strafed fuel trucks on roads. Artillery pounded suspected depots. Why? Because Tigers were maintenance nightmares needing constant spare parts, fuel, and specialists. Cut those off and Tigers broke down not from bullets, but from empty tanks or blown tracks they couldn't fix. Patton turned logistics into a weapon. Fourth rule, never ever moving. This was his boldest move. Old school tactics said halt and regroup when you hit Tigers. Patton demanded the opposite. Stop moving. Tigers gain time to dig in, call reinforcements, and dominate. Keep surging forward, forcing Tigers to shift positions under fire, and you turn their strength into a death trap. Movement exposed their fragility, tracks snapped, engines seized, crews burned out. One captured German officer admitted later, "We expected a battle, what we got was a pursuit. Your forces never stopped long enough for us to dig in." Exactly. Keep them off balance, reactive, and exhausted. Fifth rule, accept casualties as the cost of progress. This stung the most. Other Allied generals avoided Tigers at all costs, pulling back to save tanks, a tactic that bought Germans precious time to dig in and bleed the Allies slowly. Patton saw the brutal math. Yes, charging past Tigers cost Shermans and lives up front, but stopping to dodge them cost days, and those days let Germans stiffen the whole front. A Sherman lost while advancing kept pressure on, one saved by retreating just made the next fight bloodier. For Patton, momentum was sacred. He drilled this hard. Spotting a Tiger wasn't reason to halt, it was signal to call artillery, air support, and tank destroyers while pushing forward relentlessly. Tank commanders faced court-martial for retreating from Tigers without orders. This wasn't recklessness, it was cold, calculated aggression focused on winning the war, not just a battle. The result, Patton's forces didn't just run from Tigers, they hunted them. While other Allied units scattered at rumors of Tigers, Patton's troops treated them as priority targets demanding a swarm. By late August, this doctrine lived in every soldier's bones. Artillery crews practiced rapid response drills for Tiger suppression. Fighter-bomber pilots knew Tigers topped their target list. Tank destroyer teams drilled flanking maneuvers against heavy armor day and night. It was a system built to exploit Tiger weaknesses before they even mattered. So when German scouts finally spotted where Patton's main thrust would hit, and planted their 72 Tigers in textbook defensive spots along the routes, they set up what should have been a slaughter. Picture it: Tigers dug hull down behind ridges, their long 88mm guns covering open fields where Shermans would pop up silhouetted against the sky, easy targets at 2,000 meters, distances where Sherman shells couldn't penetrate frontal armor. The American advance would shatter. Patton's blitz would stall. Germany would buy those critical days. Simple, lethal, almost perfect. It should have worked. It didn't. Patton's aggressive cavalry scouts spotted those Tiger clusters before Shermans entered the kill zones. Within hours, Patton didn't order cautious redeployment or massive artillery prep. He rerouted the entire advance. He split his forces into fast-moving columns, taking different paths through rougher terrain, bypassing kill zones while probing German weak spots. This wasn't luck. It was deliberate dispersal to force Germans to react, shattering their careful plans. And when Shermans did bump into Tigers, they followed Patton's playbook hard. No fair fight, they immediately called artillery, not to destroy Tigers. Everyone knew frontal armor could shrug off shells, but to suppress. Massive high-explosive barrages rained down, slamming hatches shut, blinding crews, deafening them under fire. While Tigers hunkered down under artillery, the real hunters moved, tank destroyers like the M10 Wolverine. Built solely to kill heavy tanks, they traded armor for speed and punchier guns. They weren't meant to slug it out, they dart through cover, flank Tigers, fire fast, and vanish. As artillery distracted Tigers, these agile killers struck thinner side or rear armor. One good hit near ammunition or engines often triggered catastrophic explosions, leaving just charred hulks. At the same moment, P-47 Thunderbolts roared in. Patton kept fighter bombers circling his spearheads constantly. Those planes couldn't reliably pierce thick top armor with bombs, but rockets shredded tracks, turning Tigers into sitting ducks. Strafing runs with heavy machine guns pinned down crews trying to bail out. That constant air threat added crushing psychological pressure. You'd abandon a Tiger just to escape rockets even if it wasn't burning. This exposed the Tiger's fatal flaw, the very weakness Patton weaponized. Tigers thrived only in static defense at long range. But Patton's chaos forced them into a war they never designed for. German crews found themselves assaulted from every angle, artillery hammering positions, planes hammering tracks, tank destroyers circling unseen, and all while American Shermans poured past them toward deeper objectives. Tigers were supposed to be the anvil. Instead, hammers surrounded them. The first losses weren't epic duels, they were failures born from Patton's targeted pressure. One Tiger tried repositioning under artillery fire, through a track, and sat immobilized. Crews belayed before Americans even arrived. It got abandoned like driftwood. Another, stranded miles back when fuel convoys got bombed, simply ran dry. A desperate tow attempt between Tigers broke both down completely in retreat. Both got left behind. 3 Tigers fell when tank destroyers flanked them mid-artillery barrage. Side armor penetrated, triggering ammo cook-offs. 2 more got crippled by P-47 rockets. 1 limped trackless until crews fled. Another caught fire in the engine deck, forcing immediate abandonment. All this happened in less than 6 hours. German commanders thought those Tigers would hold for days. They lasted hours. Why? Because Patton refused to play their game. He didn't pause after first contact, didn't pull back. Tigers got spotted. He called everything artillery saturation, instant air support, flanking tank destroyers, and kept his main columns rolling past. By that first nightfall, over 20 Tigers were destroyed, immobilized, or abandoned. Surviving crews weren't just battered, they were shattered. They'd believed in their invincibility, expected dominance. Instead, they got hunted relentlessly by an enemy ignoring armored warfare's old rules. Pleas for support went dead silent. Patton's advance had shattered German command. Units meant to fight as one found themselves isolated, desperate. Day 2 wasn't recovery, it was collapse accelerating. Patton's forces knew exactly where surviving Tigers hid. Before dawn, artillery slammed pre-registered spots. Tank destroyers moved at night into ambush points along likely retreat routes. First light revealed German crews trying to reposition battered Tigers and walking straight into traps. Maury Tigers fell not just to fire, but to relentless pressure, exposing mechanical fragility. Constant combat stress, no maintenance crews, exhausted drivers pushing worn-out machines, all took their toll. Tigers that might have held ground now broke down maneuvering. Transmissions failed, engines seized, tracks snapped. Immobilized Tigers became shark bait for circling destroyers. This was Patton's doctrine in action. Superior tech means nothing if you can't use it. Tigers weren't beaten tank for tank, they got neutralized by a system targeting every weakness. By day 2's end, German commanders faced grim reality. Their Tiger deployment had failed. It wasn't poor design, the 88mm gun still ripped through armor, frontal plating still deflected hits. The failure was deeper. Patton's speed turned Tiger strengths, defensive power, long-range lethality, into liabilities. Static defense vanished because Americans never let them stand still. Long-range dominance became useless when enemies refused to fight at range. Day 3 brought the withdrawal order. But for Tigers, retreating was often deadlier than fighting. Their slowness became a road death sentence. Faster American forces overran retreating columns instantly. Tank destroyers, perfectly positioned on escape routes, picked off Tigers from the rear, where armor was thinnest, shattering engines with pinpoint shots. Fuel shortages hit critical during movement. Supply lines, wrecked earlier, couldn't refill tanks. Tigers ran dry, forcing crews to blow up their own machines, a humiliating end for tanks built to dominate. Mechanical failures piled up, transmissions blew, tracks snapped, engines locked under combat stress, and Patton's suffocating pressure never eased. Artillery pounded escape routes. P-47s strafed any column, turning retreats into routes. Tank destroyers harassed flanks, making rear guards bleed out. This relentless pressure was Patton's signature move. He knew breaking the enemy wasn't enough. You had to crush their chance to recover. Never let them catch breath. Never give seconds to reorganize. Make retreat as costly and chaotic as battle. One captured German officer confessed exactly what Patton aimed for. We expected a battle. What we got was a pursuit. Your forces never stopped long enough for us to establish a defensive position. That wasn't luck. It was Patton's 5 rules executed perfectly. He knew Tigers could win only when static and prepared, so he denied them that moment entirely. They reacted constantly, overwhelmed by American tempo. When the shattered Tiger remnant finally escaped Patton's immediate reach, the toll was brutal. Of 72 Tigers committed to stop Patton's Third Army, fewer than 10 remained operational. The rest, destroyed, abandoned, captured, or blown up by their own crews. The road ahead lay shockingly clear. That legendary superweapon hadn't even slowed Patton's advance by a single hour. The myth of the unstoppable Tiger died not in glorious combat, but in French mud, overwhelmed by a force that refused to fight fair. So what really happened? How did Germany's engineering marvel fail against technically inferior Shermans? First truth, superior tech doesn't equal victory. Yes, Tigers beat Shermans head-on. One Tiger often killed 3 or 4, but war isn't a spec sheet contest. It's a system versus system fight. Shermans operated within a smarter tactical ecosystem, using speed, coordination, and pressure to negate individual weakness. One Tiger died under artillery, airstrikes, flanking destroyers, and infantry swarming simultaneously. Tactics beat specs every time. Second, speed matters more than firepower. The 88 gun was devastating, but useless if Tigers couldn't settle into stable firing positions. Patton's relentless tempo kept Tigers scrambling, repositioning, and disrupted, denying them time to dominate the battlefield. Shermans paid in numbers per fight, but by pushing constantly, Patton created more vulnerable moments for Tigers while minimizing their strength. Quantity created quality, not in tank counts, but in concentrated threats against each Tiger. Germans got outthought, not outgunned. Third, logistics win wars quietly. A weapon, only as good as its fuel and spare parts. Germany's fuel crisis and broken supply lines stranded countless Tigers before they saw combat. Patton knew this. He turned logistics into weaponry by hammering supply lines relentlessly. A Tiger miles from repair depots was useless scrap, same as one burning on the field. Fourth, morale decides battles. German crews entered believing in Tiger invincibility. Confronted by Patton's chaos, artillery one moment, planes the next, destroyers flanking, they shattered. Psychologically, we never fought the same enemy twice, one captured commander admitted bitterly. By the time we handled one threat, two more hit us. That paralysis was Patton's goal, overwhelm the enemy's ability to react. The core failure was rigid thinking. Germany built Tigers for static defense, to hold ground, not drive offensives, but Patton refused to let that fight happen. He denied them the slow, methodical, long-range battle they needed. Instead, he forced them into high-speed chaos, a war they couldn't win. Other Allied commanders struggled because they fought Tigers on German terms. Patton redefined the battle entirely. He made speed the center of gravity, transforming Tiger advantages into traps. Where others saw unstoppable armor, Patton saw a fuel-guzzling, fragile machine doomed under pressure. The aftermath shook everyone. For Germans, losing 65 elite Tigers shattered faith in wonder weapons. They'd gambled everything on Tigers stopping Patton and got nothing. Confidence in tech solutions evaporated among field commanders. Worse, Patton's terrifying reputation became self-fulfilling. Just hearing his Third Army was coming made Germans retreat faster. For Americans, the victory proved something vital. Tigers could be beaten, not by luck or heroics, but through drilled tactics, coordinated assets, and unwavering offense. Tank crews stopped fearing Tigers as death sentences. They learned victory came from fighting smarter, not having better tanks. Morale soared, the psychological barrier crumbled. This battle became gospel for every armored unit after a lesson that systems thinking beats raw firepower. Let's be clear, the Tiger wasn't a bad tank. Engineers called it brilliant machinery, powerful, well-crafted. Its failure wasn't bad engineering, it was terrible context. Deployed for an offensive role it never designed for, against a commander who understood its flaws better than its creators. Those 72 Tigers weren't lost to miracle weapons, they fell to deliberate tactics, perfect coordination, and a leader who knew forcing your enemy into the wrong fight beats bringing the best weapon. It's timeless for anyone facing a stronger opponent, battlefield, boardroom, or tech race. Don't accept your rival's terms. Don't fight where they're strongest. Change the contest itself. Use speed to deny stability. Use coordination to overwhelm focus. Apply relentless pressure to exploit hidden cracks. Make them fight your battle, not theirs. Germans sent their best tanks to stop Patton. They learned the hard way. Even the fanciest gear fails if your enemy won't let you use it right. 72 Tigers rolled into that August engagement. Fewer than 10 crawled out. Why? Because Patton saw the truth. Technology is just a tool. Tactics are the hand that wields it. And leadership, vision to reshape the battlefield itself, decides who wins. Those Tigers didn't die in a dramatic last stand. Most got abandoned beside French roads, stranded when engines quit or gas ran out, while fleeing an enemy who never, ever stopped moving. That's the lesson time won't forget.